Hi, I'm Jacob from Confessions of a Traitor.
Hi, I'm Seb from Confessions of a Traitor, and you're watching Alive and Loud.
Welcome to Alive and Loud Season 1 finale week, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in over the last couple of months. It's been crazy, but it's been fun. Today we have a guest all the way from the UK. Please welcome Confessions of a Traitor. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us today.
No worries.
So how are you guys, first of all?
I'll let you go first, Seb.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, in my household, we're all good, thanks. A lot of working from home, doing Zooms and Microsoft Teams calls and bits. But luckily, I'm still able to go into my office, and my partner's, most of her work she has to be on site, so she's out of the house, and I can sit in whichever room I want to work from. But yeah, all good though. No, it was all good. Everything's like in England, everything's sort of starting to come back to normal. I think the next date is in eight days' time when all restrictions are being dropped. I mean, there's a lot of people pleased about it. Also, a lot of people that are very sort of not happy about everything being dropped at once, because everyone's saying we should do it
right
a bit more step by step. But yeah, Jacob, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. Similar to Seb, obviously not been able to do music for the past 18 months has been a bit of a struggle for everyone that's in this industry. But I've been fortunate enough that I could still keep working throughout, which was a little bit of a struggle at the beginning when you're sort of having to go into work in a call center and everyone's shouting at you for basically you might as well have been the cause of COVID for the way that people would talk to you. But it's been good. Fortunately, like my parents are both retired, so they're not working, so they've been sort of safe at home and everything. Good. So it's just been me. But I suppose the plus side to working in the office was sanity and getting to get out of the house and not stare at the same four walls like everyone else that I know did. But otherwise, yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully restrictions and stuff coming back, and just some sense of absolute normality would be great at sometime soon. A little bit apprehensive with the numbers rising again, but it's going to happen.
Well, brilliant. Well, that's great, man. I'm glad to hear that you guys are thriving. It's been a tough 18 months for a lot of people. So I know you kind of touched on that just a little bit, Jacob, but the last 18 months, there's not been any live music really. Here lately, a lot of live show announcements have been coming up. It's almost like you wake up and it's Christmas morning every day to see another band is starting a tour announcement. And, I have to ask, what has it been like to watch, like, not just what you and the band have dealt with, but watch music as a whole kind of just take a back seat, like live music take a back seat to this pandemic?
I think it's been an absolutely massive struggle for everyone within the industry specifically, and people outside of the industry as well. The creative arts in the UK alone is responsible for over £1 billion worth of investment every year and stuff like that. And that's similar across the whole of the world. I think when it started, everyone was like, oh, it's a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks. And you can see all the sort of the major bands and other bands just sort of like rolling their tours on a couple months. And then it sort of like escalated. And then it was like, oh, okay, right, there's nothing happening. Everyone within the industry still being like, okay, well, we'll come back in like a couple more months. And then no, it's then fast forward, it's 18 months later on. And I know a lot of people that are now sort of out of the industry at the moment because they've had to go get jobs elsewhere to pay their bills, because there's in the UK, I don't know what it's like in other places, there's not really been that much financial support for the creative arts industry, really. It's almost been forgotten about in some circumstances. And a lot of them are now out of it. They probably will come back to it, but they're waiting for that right time. So it'd be interesting to see what it's like here in the UK across the rest of the world. really. I know sort of me and Seb and Steve and the rest of the boys talk about it on a regular basis. Me personally, I didn't realize how much I relied on shows for my own mental health and my own mental well-being, to let go. And I know the rest of the guys are similar, and I know that's the thing for a lot of artists, that music is a passion. It allows them to vent things and to, how to explain it, just let go, really. You don't have any problems in that half an hour to an hour and a half that you play. It's just, oh, maybe the backing track's gone wrong, or the drummer's broken a stick, or I've snapped a string. It's things you can just quickly deal with in a quick turnaround and just get on with. So it's been fantastic seeing all these show announcements coming out, like especially in the US and stuff like that. You can see bands that need it, like it is their career, it's their lifeblood to be able to perform, coming back and everything. And it's a similar thing. It's coming here, isn't it, Seb? But it's just a little bit slower, because I think there's a little bit more cautiousness over what's happening, because a lot of people don't want to invest a lot of money into like production and travel and touring for it to then get cancelled, and then they're in some sort of contractual agreement where they've got to pay anyway for all the stuff that they might have hired for shows and tours. But hopefully it comes back soon for everyone, really. I don't know if you want to add on to that, Seb.
No, I think you've hit everything on the head. I guess just from a personal opinion, I was only struggling more at the very beginning, starting to realise that COVID was not just going to be a few weeks; it was going to be into months and then into sort of years, which it has been. But once the first 3 or 4 months had passed for me, um, I'd I sort of lost the gig blues. I didn't I don't know, I didn't forget about music or coat, but it just took a back seat in my head, because I knew that there's no point in thinking about it, because it's not going to be for a good amount of time before we can really do anything at all. And the only thing we started doing from our own houses was to write new songs, which is the EP which is the latest EP now.
You haven't done what I've done. I go down the
that?
rabbit hole. I go down the live set YouTube rabbit hole pretty much every evening.
Yeah, it's horrible.
For 45 minutes and then just go, right, I need to close this before, like, I just cry in the corner.
Well, I gotta tell you, man, Hostile Work Environment has been one of those albums that, you know, I've been keeping on repeat for some time. If you could tell us a little bit about what that was like for you guys. I know that released June 4th, right? So
yeah, it came out, yeah.
So Hostile Work Environment released June 4th. Tell us about what it was like to release that amongst, you know, previous dealings that you've had recently.
It was an interesting concept, wasn't it, really? Because we just released our album Guided in October 2019. So we were set to start like playing that everywhere, all the time, any show, everything with it. March came along, and then it's just like, oh, okay, we can't do anything with this thing that we'd sat on for what, about 18 months, wasn't it, Seb? We sat on it before we released it.
It took a while to really sort of get to release, and then when we did, we couldn't do anything with it.
That was it. It was just like we had all these plans, everything, like management, agents, and everything sort of set up, and it's just like, okay, well, it's essentially phenomenal album that we've not really been able to do anything with, and we sort of realised that with the whole Press Start to Play EP was that a lot of bands and artists don't have the facility to be able to do things themselves. Fortunately, we're in a position where we can self-record the vast majority of our material now, and then sort of send it off to an independent producer to mix and master it for us. And we kind of realized that whilst everything was closed down around the world pretty much, there wasn't going to be much new music coming out, and it was very much along the lines of, okay, well, we need to try and do something. We need to try and stay relevant, because if this does turn out to be a long-term thing, which as we now know it has done, our album would have become pretty irrelevant by now, because people would have forgotten about it. 18 months had gone on since it'd come out, well, 2 years had gone on since it'd come out. Everyone had forgotten about it. So it was very much Steve being the driving force behind, but like, right, we need to stay relevant, we need to get music going. And then Jack, our guitarist, he couldn't go out, couldn't do anything, and this man's just a riff machine. Like you attach into an interface on a laptop, you get absolute gold from this man. And he just went on this absolute writing frenzy, didn't he? Said just right and center, be like, all right, what do you guys think of this one? What do you think of this one? What do you think of this one? I was like, mate, can you calm down? You're making the rest of us look bad, because none of us are writing anything. He's just cracking out song after song after song. And then we wanted this whole concept idea, and me and Steve are very avid gamers, as a sort of the rest of the band as well, but me and Steve particularly, and we would game a lot, and that was our connection to each other. Like, what was it? I think it was 2018. I think we worked out the math. We spent about 27% of the year together completely. So like from waking up to going to sleep, and it's quite a lot of time. Obviously, it's a long year, but it's quite a lot of time to go from doing that sort of thing every year to no, you can't see your friends. If you go outside your house, you'll get shot by Boris Johnson with a sniper and a helicopter, sort of thing. Like, all these sort of things. There's a running joke with all that. When it all started out, it was like, you can't go anywhere, but if you need to test your eyes, go for a drive. And all these sort of things. And we just wanted to do something with concept, and it was the sort of Steve's idea to sort of start writing about games to these songs that Jack was sending out. And it kind of just sort of evolved from there, really, because initially it was a bit like, oh, it's quite a cool concept. I know like some bands have done concept albums in the past, like I know the Plot and You did a concept album, Crown the Empire, I think their first 3 albums were sort of concept fantasy world albums, and there's like a load of other bands I could probably sit and name off.
Ice Nine Kills, I think.
Cool. Yeah, Ice Nine Kills, they've done obviously Silver Scream, and I've forgotten the other one, and they've got a new one coming out as well, I think. And it was all quite interesting because you don't have to base it on personal experiences, which is something that Steve quite likes to do lyrically, is base things on personal experiences for ourselves or for other members of the band or family members and stuff like that. And then build a positive message from that to be like, right, okay, so this is the problem you've got. This is how you sort of find the positive from it, and how you look towards the best side of everything, even in the worst situations. And that's something we've always tried to do, is to do something different, and not do the whole blood, gore, sacrifice, all that sort of thing, like I'm lonely, all those sort of things. That's not who we are as individuals. We're very positive, happy people that always want to help someone and always show them the best way, and teach them from our own experiences and learn from their experiences at the same time. So this then concept of then doing it on games is a little bit more interesting, because we didn't have to think about drawing from all these personal inspiration, which can be quite difficult, because some of our songs like Myra, and I know Steve doesn't mind me talking about this, it's based on friends of his and the passing of their child due to childhood cancer. And that was quite a tough thing for Steve to have to write about, and for him to draw together, and how to communicate it and explain it all to people in a way that was a medium that they could understand that trauma. And then when it comes to games, you don't need to, you've got all the material there. You've got, like, if you're a big gamer and stuff, like a lot of people will know Halo and stuff like that, there's a whole universe outside of the games as well that you can draw inspiration and ideas from. And that pretty much happened there. And then it was just, all right, we rolled with it, and it seemed to, well, it's gone pretty well actually for something we were kind of not sure. It's something that started as a way of us being in contact and somehow doing something together whilst all not living in the same area, because we're not even in places in the UK where we could have gone for a socially distanced walk together. We're all sort of in different aspects of the country that does involve sort of an hour's drive to each place. And I think it was just fun. It was something that was interesting. It was different, really, wasn't it, Seb?
Yeah, I think I just want to add that, yes, we want to stay relevant, and we were just grateful that we could still write new songs, record and release when we were seeing other bands announcing breaking up and that. So we were just thankful that we could still manage to do it. But we'd put ourselves in a good position before. Well, obviously we didn't know COVID was coming, but we were gearing ourselves up for being able to record ourselves just from a financial point of view, because so Guided was 12 songs. You know, it's not cheap thing to produce all the artwork, recording for a month, everything that goes behind it, videos. So just to try and save on some of the costs for this time, which we managed to do quite well, was we could put more money into PR, marketing, artwork, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I mean, yeah, we've had such a good reaction from it, and we always said also it's not part of the EP, but a song we released first was Paper Cut by Linkin Park. We wanted to do another cover for a while, and we just thought, well, this is only an EP with 4 originals, so why not add on a new cover? And that was really good to do as well.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal cover of Paper Cut, by the way.
Thank you. It was extremely nerve-wracking, actually.
I can't imagine
that whole process, because we'd done it, we'd done all the musical stuff for it, and then we wanted to do the vocals and everything to it. And this has been something that sort of we'd been playing around with anyway. And then when the sort of the lockdown measures eased, it was like we'd done writing the guitars and everything. We'd sort of tracked it all and done all the drum programming and everything, because we didn't have anywhere to go to do that, because there was literally nowhere where we could have done drums, unfortunately, for it. But Seb had sort of helped us program it and put what he wanted on it. And I just remember going up to Steve's, and obviously it happened to be that we were doing this, and we didn't realize at the time when we made this decision it was coinciding with the 20-year anniversary of Hybrid Theory. And I just remember each time being like, right, we need to get this right. Okay, no, we need to get this spot on. Like, if we get this wrong, we might as well just give up as a band, because no one will ever forgive us for getting anything wrong with this. And it went well, and we got all like the vocals down for like the rap bits and everything for Steve, which took a while, because prior to that Steve had COVID, and the impact that had on his and vocal things. He is, out of the whole of us, probably the most physically fit member of the band, in terms of that he's ex-rugby player, is a personal trainer, and works in sort of the medical health field and stuff like that. So he's like got an incredible stamina, and that's why he's one of the very few individuals I know that does his frontman style his way, which is run around like an absolute wild maniac and climb on anything he possibly can do. Get shouted at by every known sound guy in the universe when they're climbing. And we came to do the vocals, and it took us a while to get them out of him, because he was just so exhausted from doing it. So we got all those down, and it was like, brilliant, cool, we've got this down. And then it was like, right, we're going to do the singing, which was the bit I was then taking. And then that took us forever to work out the melody and the harmony and everything, and to get it right in the key with the song that we were doing it, and making sure that it sounded good, and that it was sort of staying true to the original sort of vocals as well, but having our own style on it, so that people understood it's a cover, but it's been done by us. That all came out. We got the first sort of mix through and everything. We all absolutely loved it. And then about the week before it got released, after we'd filmed the music video and everything, pretty sure every night me and Steve were on the phone going, what have we done? Why are we doing this? Nobody likes this. What was we've absolutely butchered this song and nobody will ever.
No.
Every night for about a week. And then when it came out, it was like, basically, I think I was getting tattooed at the time. And me and Steve just messaging each other, being like, "Oh God, oh no, what's happened?
Man.
Something's wrong." And then everyone like was so receptive to it. I've got loads of friends that aren't metalheads, but they know Linkin Park, and they know that song. They're like, "Oh, you guys have done such a good job with it." And I was just like, "Whew, okay."
Yeah, you really did.
Like, everything can unclench. It was such a nerve-wracking time. Like, loved it. Never want to do a cover again, because it's actually terrifying when it's someone of that significance. It's just like, nah, no thanks.
Done it once, we're good. Well, I Seb, you'd mentioned the album art. Felix Tyndall created that album art, did he not?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and I was looking at it, and I was like, wow, that's actually really cool, because I noticed, in each of the single art, you had like Master Chief, and you had BioShock, and a couple others. So I was like, okay, I see what they're doing here, and I'm digging it, because I also loved the game whenever I didn't have a million responsibilities. But yeah, man, Halo was my life for the longest time. It would be my best and worst days. Increasing the level of difficulty just to challenge yourself. It's like, well, I beat it on easy. Let's go up a little bit. And it's like, nope, let's go back down to easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, the album art is actually really cool. I don't know that I've seen anyone else really kind of do it the way that you did. I love the way you guys had selected the coloring for everything. Everything just seems purposeful, and I love that. So I want to ask, Tony just celebrated a birthday here a couple weeks ago, right?
Who sorry?
Tony?
Oh yeah, Tony. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it was Tony. Sorry. Yeah, because Jack and Tony's are like a week apart.
Yeah, I was gonna say I noticed I was going through your all's Facebook not long ago and I saw that. So belated happy birthday to Tony.
We'll pass it on.
Yeah, shout out to Tony. With the band, there's a big dynamic here, and this is what I love about this genre of music. You've got the screaming, you've got the clean vocals. So how do you feel about the complementary style of this kind of genre overall? Because a lot of bands play this style, but I don't think that anyone's really asked someone who's in that genre, like, what is that like for you to do the cleans and then to have someone do the screams? How do you feel about that, and what's that dynamic like for you guys as a whole band?
I think because we've all listened to this, so all five of us have got our own different sort of favorite genres within metal as a whole.
Yeah.
But we all have, when it comes to writing our own songs, we all have very similar tastes. And I think because we've listened to this type of music for so long, I think it just comes down to, we just really love how we can, in the same song, we can have harsh screaming, and also the same person do nice melodic vocals. I just think, like, personally, I can't listen to a song that's screaming the whole way through it. It's got to have something else interesting to listen to. I think that's why it's interesting to create and listen to, because it's just another layer of the song, because you can only do so many drum fills, guitar hooks.
Yeah.
The first thing someone listens to in any music is the vocals, isn't it? It's I think it's just as simple as that, really. I think we just, and also now Jacob's been in the band for, I don't know, 3 years or something.
Yeah, I think it's about 3 years now.
So before, either Steve would have to do screaming and vocals, or we would just do screaming. And then Tony and Steve would alternate screaming live. But since Jacob's joined, we've been able to really add the element of both guys can scream, but both can sing. Jacob probably better singing. So, and obviously both have different, you can hear it's Steve and you can hear it's Jacob. And it's cool to experiment with that.
Right.
From this EP going forward, it's cool to experiment with the two different people.
Yeah. I love that dynamic with you guys, and Jacob, you've got an amazing vocal. I have to compliment you on that, because that's one thing, like you said, Seb, people listen to vocals, and it's kind of a make or break situation. When you listen to bands such as yourselves, okay, obviously they can scream. Let's see how they can deliver on this end. And it's like, okay, they can deliver on this end. Let's see how their bass line is. And you're like, okay, shit. So this band has everything. So we're just going to download everything that they've done recently. And that, for me, that was the case. Like I was telling Seb before we started filming, I listened to some of the new stuff for like Hostile Work Environment. And then I was like, okay, I got to see if these guys have a deep back catalog. And sure enough, you didn't disappoint. And like I was telling him, I listened to 12 probably 9 or 10 times before the video began, and I was just like, God, this is really good. Like this is the type of music that's been fueling me lately, and I have needed this. Like, where has this band been? And a friend of mine who introduced me to you guys, it was like, Abraham was like, man, you know what? You got to check out this song. You got to check out Fearless. And I was like, I'm just gonna download the whole damn album. Like that's all there is to it. But
that's very nice comments. Thank you.
Absolutely. So on the guitar side of things, Jacob, who's been influencing you as far as your playing style?
So when I was younger, when I first got into metal and sort of playing guitar at the time and everything, it was very much sort of Matt Heafy from Trivium was just
Very
like
good.
sort of pinnacle of person that I wanted to look up to and everything. And then realized that there's no way in hell I'm ever going to be as good as him. So I needed to change my aspirations. Sort of didn't really play guitar much for that point, but absolutely loved music, loved the idea behind it. And then sort of got to college and sort of discovered sort of just before the time I got to college here, so I was like 15, 16, discovered August Burns Red. Just through, it happened to be, I've probably still got the CD somewhere actually in the room. It happened to just be one of these, you buy a CD and back then you'd have to use like play.com and you have to wait about 6 years for it to come over from the US because nobody really wants this style of music here. And if they did, it was just at HMV, which would just do all the big names. You wouldn't ever get any sort of the up and coming artists. And I remember ordering a CD for something else, and it came with this like I've forgotten their name. It's not Artery, Victory Records. It was a Victory Records artist, and they used to send out these like sort of like CD sampler things with them. And it happened to have August Burns Red on there, and I got into them and then just got obsessed with them to the point where like just seeing the stuff that they then were creating with all their new albums. So like with Leveler, where they started bringing in all the sort of the clean guitars and the sort of flamenco style in Internal Canon,
right?
And then just how they developed in like Found in Faraway Places and all these things. And I was just like, I'm absolutely obsessed with this band. So I'd say the JB Brubaker from them is like he's my influencer of guitars. He's the how can I make things sound really heavy with minimal effort? How can I make things sound really shreddy again with minimal effort? There's a trend here. And just generally, I think he's a phenomenal guitarist, but I also really love, I've forgotten his name, but it's Aaron from Intervals.
Okay, yeah, Aaron's great.
Just think he's absolutely phenomenal guitarist, like absolutely phenomenal. How by just instrumentally he can completely create a whole song that you don't get bored of, that is completely interesting and emotes a lot of emotion from you. Absolutely love that. Like a lot of people don't know this within the band. Well, actually the band know this, but I used to be classically trained on the violin. So when I was young, that's where my musical background came from. And it's every time we've written songs and stuff and I'm looking at it musically, it's how do we create an emotional connection with someone before we put the vocals on top. So if we were to just go, all right, okay, cool, well, we're just going to do an instrumental version of this. It's what would people think of that song without all the vocals on top of it? Are they going to have the same reactions to it as if we then put the vocals on it? So like the sort of instrumentalists like Aaron from Intervals and like Animals as Leaders and stuff like that, like how they can do that. They can do a whole album of it and people absolutely love it. Like that, those sort of things, like JB and sort of Aaron from Intervals, like those two, if I could be sort of their love child, that'd be great.
Well, you've got a great sound. Your vocals are great. Seb, you're a phenomenal drummer, man. I gotta say that was one of the initially, once I got past the vocals and everything, I was like, okay, is this drummer gonna be in pocket? Is his timing gonna be right? And holy shit, I was watching the video and I was like, good Lord, this man can just throw down. And same question for you, like who's been your inspiration?
So I think I probably got into metal probably sounds like a similar time to Jacob. So I started learning drums when I joined secondary school, so year 7. And I probably wouldn't have chosen to learn an instrument, but it was before we joined school, they sent a letter out to say, these are the instruments we offer lessons in school. Do you want to sign up for me? So I just thought, why not? And I've always liked rock before that. I think when I was younger, Green Day was one of my favourites. So I've always been into that sort of pop punk rock type of stuff. And And then, yeah, it was probably year 8, year 9 when Psychosocial Slipknot was like everywhere.
Yeah, that record just is killer.
I think they were the first big band metal wise that I came across. And then I just delved deeper than that. I just found loads of sort of different types of metal. But I mean, yeah, I think I've gone a bit off peak there from influences wise. But since I've been with Coat, which is 2015, I found North Lane and I found Wage War, and I think those are my two standout drummers, Nick from North Lane and Stephen from Wage War.
Both phenomenal band.
Yes, Stephen's very like he can shred and stuff, but he's more like really like a powerful hitter. Whereas Nick is a lot more. He'll use pads and he'll go a bit more sort of technical. And he's very like when you watch the North Lane writing process of albums, he'll write out all the drums on sheet music, and when he records, he'll follow the sheet. Whereas I don't know how Stephen records, but I think probably like most drummers, you just get into a studio and you just jam along to songs and then choose the favourite bits and cut and edit, which is how I go into it. I'll learn the songs, but I won't necessarily go into recording thinking I'm going to play that bit there, that bit there. It will just come free with when I'm in the studio. So that's where me and Jack are very similar. Jack will have everything written out, but there'll be on the spot changes, which is what I came across with the brand new stuff that we're currently working on. But yeah, I think, and also Connor from Beartooth as well at the moment is I've sort of known about him for a while when he was in Being as an Ocean, and again just how powerful yet musically he plays the drums, because that's one misconception, isn't it? It's a drummer just hits hard, but it's not. That's what I want to try and bring to it is a musicality element to it as well. So if there's no vocals, are the drums interesting enough for someone to listen to just on their own? So that's where I'm at influences wise for now.
That's great, man. Guys, I really can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us today. Like I said, it's a big week. It's season 1 finale week, and we're very thrilled to have you. And we cannot wait for people to catch this episode. If you had to tell anybody really quickly to sum up the band, how would you kind of put the band's, driving force? Like if there was a way to really give it a moniker, what do you want to say as a band to your fans?
Well, I don't think 4 minutes is long enough for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's aggressive music for positive people is like our strap line, is that you don't have to, especially within this sort of genre, everyone assumes that you're miserable, that you're sad, that you've got something wrong with you. You don't have to have any of those things to like this music. Not saying if you do, there's a problem, but it's music for people that is to help them get through their day, whether they've had a great day, whether they're having a crap day, whether just everything's on top of them or they feel on top of the world. Like that's what our music's there for them, is going to be the best and the worst times of their lives. The same as that our fans and friends and family will always be there for us at the best and the worst times in our lives. I think as honest, passionate, positive music is us. I will say is thank you to everyone for the support. I know it's the cliche that every artist ever will always say, but we honestly couldn't do the things we do without you guys showing an interest. And it still blows our minds that 100,000 people have listened to our paper cut cover, 325,000 people have listened to the whole EP so far. I think it's done over 500,000 streams on Guided. That is just mind blowing to know that that many people have spent and taken time to listen to stuff that we've written in our homes as friends and as family. And thank you to everyone. Thank you to yourselves as well for asking us to come on these things, for supporting us and pushing us as well.
Yeah, I think it's the first US podcast as well we've done. So
really, that's great. What an honor.
You've broken our US virginity.
You heard it here first. We have broken their US virginity. Well, gentlemen, again, thanks so very much. And thank you all of you who are listening and watching right now. We couldn't have done season 1 without you. I can't believe we're here. We've made it. I think by this time we'll have reached 20 something episodes. Wow. Phenomenal. Like, we couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much for a great season. And thank you guys so much for coming on. And we'll have the door open for you whenever you want to return.
Thank you very much.
We'll stay in touch. We'll stay in touch.
Thanks, guys. Take it easy, guys. Stay tuned for information on season 2, because we've got some really special stuff coming up for you. You don't want to miss it.